Hello, everyone. Welcome to This Must Be the Place. I'm your host, Imogen J. Lister. We are recording today from beautiful, sunny, warm, spring-like Roncesvalles in Toronto. And today I'm chatting with Jaguar Sun, aka Chris, who I'm really excited to talk to. I found his music last summer, and it really became a bit of an anthem for the summer for me last year, especially the song Boris. I was listening to this morning even. Really good spring vibes. Really hope you guys give it a listen for this season because it's gonna suit your summer so well. I know it. But how are you doing today, Chris?
Good. I can't complain on a day like this. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm super hyped to get into it. As I was just saying before we started recording, your music suits, like, the songs that you've chosen suit your music so well, which, you know, your music, as you were saying, very much like indie pop, indie rock vibes with a bit of like a folky element, I think, especially in the lyrics.
Yeah. I feel like that sums it up pretty good. It's just that crossover between pop, rock, folk, and then maybe a little bit of electronic vibes underneath it all.
Yeah, and you've been working on this project, Jaguar Sun, for 8 years now, or seven or 8 years.
It's around that. Yeah. I started back in 2018, so whatever that comes to, I guess 7.
Such a long time. But it's really it's blown up a bit, like has a bit of a following in Toronto or in Southern Ontario or.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of just caught wings back in the early days. After I dropped the first EP, it kind of caught its own legs, getting shared on the right YouTube channels and got shared in the right places, I guess, because it just kind of took its own legs enough that I could sort of take a step back and sort of be like, oh, I'm gonna take this seriously. This could be something. And since then, it's just kind of snowballed a bit and just grown to where it is now, where we started touring in the last few years, and we've toured in Europe and toured across America and played shows in Canada. And, you know, it's just wild to see people from each of those places that know the words to the songs and care. And yeah, it's become something that I did not expect, and I'm lucky to be following it now.
Mm-hmm. Really going with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Even in Europe, people are singing your words back. I can only imagine how that feels.
Yeah, it's a really surreal experience. One that I definitely don't want to take for granted. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you have a tour coming up, or it might be done by the time this comes out, but
right.
Yeah. But yeah, tour around Southern Ontario and a little bit of the States, right?
Yeah, we start in Atlanta next week, and then slowly weave our way back to a show in Toronto, and then cut back out to Chicago, and then make our way back through the Midwest. So
wow,
3 week out around kind of the eastern states and Southern Ontario and northern states.
Have you been on a lot of big tours, or is this a big one for you?
The longest one is a 5-week run that we just did last November. Everything that we've gone on so far has usually been 3 weeks to a month. That was the longest, and probably the longest I can do. I'm a big homebody, so getting out and being on the road for that long is it's a lot. It's a lot of fun and one of the coolest things I've done, but I'm happy to keep it at the month long or less mark, I guess.
Definitely. And doing it kind of almost DIY, a lot of the moving pieces are done yourself. I can imagine it gets quite tiring.
Yeah, it can, for sure. I'm lucky to have a good team of people helping me out, my manager and tour manager and friends that are all involved in this, and we make it work. But it's definitely a lot of preparation goes into these tours you don't really know until you're a part of it, where you're planning these things out months in advance, and maybe 5 or 6 months goes into booking a tour that happens in just 3 weeks, and then it's over. So it's kind of a world that I didn't know existed, but I'm lucky to have some people helping me out in that area, because I don't know if I could do it fully alone.
Yeah, I feel there's so many moving pieces. Being a homebody, how do you stay grounded or connected to home while you're on the road?
I don't know. I feel I'm still learning how to do that. there's a lot of times where I like catch myself getting a bit homesick, and I'm like, oh geez, like we're like only 1 week into this, and there's like 4 weeks left, and bunch of like back-to-back shows, and not a lot of time to sort of like get off on your own and do your own thing and sort of reconnect with yourself while you're out there. It's a lot of socializing and just like nonstop movement. But I'm trying to like get better at sort of immersing myself in that. And it's like easier when you know like, oh, I'm going to be out here for 4 weeks. And for this 4 weeks, it's going to be intense. But then I get to go back to like doing my own thing when I get back home. And sort of like holding on to like enjoy that moment for what it is, all the socializing, all the movement, and be in it, and then know that you're not in it forever, and you get to go back home and record music at home again and relax and chill with your like family and friends and stuff. So I'm just trying to like remind myself that more while we're out there. And I think on the last tour, like I did a much better job at being in the right headspace throughout the whole thing, but still learning that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I feel like it is definitely like it's something that you can't really prepare yourself for like entirely. Do you find like your music has been influenced by like the touring flow, or has anything come like grown out of it like creatively?
Yeah, for sure. I think like lyrically I've taken some inspiration from our time out there. Like last year I released an EP called For You that was sort of, I guess, a commentary on my like struggles and loves of playing music live and getting out on the road and being away from home. So that was like heavily influenced by the tours that we had gone on before that. And then I just released a single last month called Thousand Down that was also inspired by the last tour that we went on in November. You get a lot of life experience going out to all these different places, and especially in that format where it's not just like a vacation, like you're in it and you're doing it while you're out there. You're not just like chilling the whole time and relaxing. You know, it teaches you a lot, and I feel like you can't help but let that get into your creative process.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Like it's no matter what, it's such like a life experience that it's gonna come in. Yeah,
for sure.
Speaking of, kind of weird segue, but let's go into our first song. As you know, we're talking love songs here, and yeah, I was really listening to these songs this morning. I was very much like, I hear the Jaguar Sun vibes in these. I can see how you as an individual would choose these songs specifically with the project that I know you from. So yeah, we'll get started on the first one. We'll listen to it now.
Cool.
First song that we're listening to is Strawberry Swing by Coldplay. Such a light-hearted first song that I love because it like fits the weather today so perfectly.
It does,
fits the vibe of today. Yeah, and I felt like immediately when I listened to this, like I said before, it's just like, this makes so much sense that this would be one of your favorite songs. I feel like the like sort of cyclical motion of the song and like that light little tune in the background, that really stood out to me as being like very Jaguar Sun coded.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. What stood out to you about like this Coldplay song?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, this one always hit for me. Like I've listened to it for so long, like back when it released and this album was out, like high school days, listening to this, and it just struck. Like I feel like I like it so much for a few different reasons. Like one, the production and the music itself just feels like a love song. Like you separate it from like the lyrics and you take the vocals out entirely, and it just feels like a warm hug or something. Like right from the get-go, you can just feel it through like those like fluttery guitars that are sort of like weirdly looping in the top, and then just that steady like heartbeat type beat that's going through the whole thing. And it's just so warm and inviting. You can sort of express that much just through the music alone. Because especially when I was like starting to make music myself, like I didn't sing or didn't have vocals in any of the tracks. Like I was just purely instrumental and trying to like push that as far as I could, I guess. So it's something I'm always like noticing when I'm listening, is like how do the instrumentals make you feel by themselves. Yeah. No,
that's really cool, because I feel like so much of my like sort of attention towards these love songs, and part of the reason for the podcast is because like I love the lyrics, but also I think music is so important because of the way it pairs together. But
Yeah.
your attention to stripping one away, or like the lyrics specifically away, is so interesting. And you're right, you still get this lighthearted, almost like very early kind of honeymoon phase feeling from
Yeah.
this song.
But then when you bring like the lyrics back into it, which I also love in this track, I like feel like with Coldplay I always appreciate how they can sort of like use these phrases that feel like sort of bigger and outer worldly. Like you maybe don't really understand, but you feel like the cold, cold water line, my feet don't touch the ground, like less specific. But then they bring it back in at the end with like, the sky could be gray without you, I'm just miles away. The sky could be blue, I don't mind without you, it's such a waste of time. Like that's just like grounds it back in this like really straightforward, simple like phrase and sentence that you just like get right away. So it's like that pairing of like kind of more poetic, like mysterious lines, but then bringing it back in with like just hits hard, like without you it's a waste of time.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, where it's like it is extremely poetic the way that they like circle their music around, like the world building within the song, like the intention of it all is really what brings it together. Like obviously from this album everyone knows Viva La Vida, but I feel like that song really spoke to me when I was really young, because I was like, the vision of this song, like, you know, as somebody who creatively is involved in music, I was like the visuals I get from this are so distinct, or so visceral. And like this song as well, where it just like feels like a strawberry field, like it feels so lighthearted and blue sky. And yeah,
totally, like it does, it like paints like a really clear picture, and then is vague enough that I feel like anyone can attach themselves to the song as well. Like it doesn't get so specific that like this is a really like pointed story about a very specific moment. It's just like so broad that like anyone can connect to that song and feel like, and then sort of attach it to your own specific moment in your life, or like memory or relationship. Like it's kind of nice when people leave things open-ended like that. Like it could just mean like a bunch of things to a bunch of different people, which is kind of cool in itself.
Yeah. Do you have any like specific interpretation or connection with this song? Like,
I mean, I feel like for me, I just like attach it to like a moment in my life, like late high school days where like you didn't have responsibility yet, and like summer felt fully like summer, and like your like first relationship type thing where like life was like light, and you put this on while you're like driving in the summer, and it's just like, it's perfect. So definitely like it takes me back to like those sort of days, I guess. Maybe less of an interpretation and more of just like I attach this with like just good memories from like the old days, I guess. Like nostalgia.
Extreme nostalgia.
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly.
This song it's such a nostalgic quality to it. Without like, I do remember I have listened to this album all the way through, but this isn't one that like I've returned to, this song. And I'm glad you brought it up, because this album was so vital for like indie rock at the time, especially, like so like defining almost, but I almost overlooked at the same time. Like I feel like it's kind of lost its flowers a little bit, but it deserves to have them. Yeah,
like I mean, I catch myself going back to like a lot of specific like Coldplay moments, while their like discography hasn't really gone in a direction that I still connect with. Like I'll go back and listen to this song, I'll go back and listen to one or two songs from X and Y, I'll go back and listen to one or two songs from Parachutes. I just have like these special moments through their earlier days that like I can go back and reconnect with and remind myself how good they were. Or and then they're like obviously still are, but I like really connected with those early like first 4 albums, I guess. Or
definitely
5.
Yeah, and I really feel the like driving in the sun vibe, like Sunday drive, like nowhere specific to go kind of thing. Yeah, like I said, like Coldplay just creates like such a world in all their music. Like the high school memories for me as well, where it's just like, yeah, like you're right, like in the summer I remember like sitting and just like watching, like binge watching a show, because I was like, there's literally nothing to do, there's no responsibilities right now. It's so good.
It's nice having some like direct attachments to those days, can sort of like take you back to that.
I have like a playlist called like high school songs, and it's just songs that I found in high school, and honestly a lot of those songs are still in my like number one favorite songs playlist because they'll just always feel like more lighthearted than anything else that I listen to.
Yeah. I also every year I make like a new playlist that is like everything I'm listening to that year. And I always catch myself going back and like it's my 2025 playlist, but then I'll like throw this in there because I remember how good it is and like, oh yeah, I want this on like the regular like rotation again this year or whatever. Yeah, there's so many gems from back then that still hit so hard today.
Do you find that when you find a song that kind of speaks to you or you became a little bit like fixated on, does it linger around for the whole year or is it a shorter term thing?
I feel like it usually is like a year thing. I feel like I've been doing this like yearly playlist thing for the last like 4 or 5 years, and I feel like everything that's in that playlist is like what just hangs out for the whole year, and then as soon as the next year hits I like make the new one and that becomes the thing, I guess, and all those other songs are now like fade off and I stop listening to them unless I like re-add them like how I re-add old songs to the next one. But yeah, it's sort of nice like grouping things in that way.
Yeah, I do it by the month.
Yeah.
And it's usually only a playlist of like maybe 10 to 20 songs, if that. But I find it so fun to go back and be like, I'm feeling this way, unless I remember feeling like this was like November 2022, so let me go back to that playlist and listen to what songs like speak to me from that time. I had a good conversation with a friend recently where they were like, don't deny yourself like listening to the same songs on repeat. You know, there's probably a reason that a lyric is speaking to you or a song is speaking to you, and you know, try and tap into what that is and understand. Yeah,
I usually binge listen to songs like over and over again when I like connect with them. I think like Broncho, or a band called Broncho, released a couple singles off their next album like a couple months ago, and I probably listened to like the one 30 times in one day just because it was like the right vibe for that day, and I was like commuting to work and it's just like I'm just gonna play this the whole time.
That's incredible. Yeah, I love Broncho. I didn't know that they had a new album coming out, so I'll have to give that a listen.
The new singles off it are sweet so far. Yeah,
I'm definitely like get in my car, and what's the other big one that I can't think of right now? Is it like Historian or something? Poppi, are you gonna look it up for me?
I think you're
Thank
right.
you. Is that it? Or is that the album? I can't remember.
I feel like I remember that being in the title of the song, or the title of the song that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about.
The like fast one, like
yeah.
You know. Poppi, do you know what song I'm talking about? Class Historian. Yeah. That's the one I'm thinking of.
I'm an idiot if it's pronounced Bronco. I've been pronouncing it Broncho the whole time.
I've always said it Bronco in my head, but
that's how you spell Bronco,
said it
right?
out loud. I have no idea.
I've been calling them Broncho.
Are they American?
I think so.
I think they're American.
Bronco makes way more sense.
I feel like the next song that you had is a little bit opposite of that. It's a little bit of a dreary one.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite fit the vibe of the sun that's shining today as much, but I don't know. I feel like it's a good energy. It's good to have a range of emotions here.
Yeah, I was debating putting this in there because I was like I think I mentioned I was having like a debate with my partner as to whether breakup songs can be love songs too. And I feel like they can, depending on the context, which I think this fits that bill perfectly.
Yeah.
But
I definitely think a breakup song, you know, there's this level of grief where you kind of still have so much love, or maybe you don't have any love, and both of those come from somewhere important.
Yeah.
And a breakup song sort of communicates both of those feelings a lot of time, or like nowhere to put a love that's important to acknowledge in whatever creative aspect.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll listen to the next one. This is My Backwards Walk by Frightened Rabbit. I've got to say, this has been one of my favorite like music discoveries from doing this podcast.
Oh, no
I was
way.
listening to this morning and I was like immediately saved. I was like, this is so good. It's really like just really fun. I've never heard of Frightened Rabbit before. I don't know much about them. But really good song, incredible. Yeah.
They're, I feel like a band that I listened to so much through like high school and like early college, and it was more in like passing, I guess, and then like didn't realize like how significant their music like felt to me like until a bit later. But it's also like a tragic band too, like with the lead not with us anymore, I guess. And it's I mean, it's worth looking into their story, but they've got so many powerful songs, and a lot of them are like that breakup song, but the love that you can feel within that is like palpable. I feel like with this song, like obviously a relationship that didn't work out, but like you can feel what was there through like the words he uses, and like there's like this simplicity in it that hits so hard, where like you can almost feel like there's more love than some love songs that are out there, even though it's a breakup song. So that's kind of like why I wanted to include something like that in the list. I feel like a lot of like my music, especially like the earlier stuff, is also sort of that bittersweet like breakup vibe, but not like doom and gloom. Like there's a bit of like hopefulness in there too.
Yeah, I think I always really love a breakup song that kind of acknowledges your own mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think that this is one of those for sure, where it's like it's a little bit self-deprecating, but not in like a self-deprecating way.
Exactly. Like it's not like pointing fingers or anything. It's like I wanted this to work, but I'm not in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
And like I couldn't make it happen. And depending on like the stage of life you're in or what you're going through, you might be able to connect with that, and it just like hits super hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's interesting seeing how like different people can sort of interpret that as well. Like one of my songs, Forever and More, is like maybe in a similar vein, where it's like it's a breakup song, but where like the person that you're breaking up from, you know, will be better off on their own and without you. And it's interesting because like a bunch of people have used it in wedding videos, and like we played it at someone's wedding on our last tour. So it's like it's a straight breakup song, but like a lot of people must find some loving aspect in there because they keep wanting to use it for like weddings and like that moment in their life. So it's like cool. Like I guess like you can sort of like interpret this in any way you sort of see fit.
They really feel the love from it, even though like it's about a parting of ways. Like I was saying, there's still like a love that comes through in a breakup song. I think that's like so. I don't think you can have a podcast about love songs without talking about like falling out of love or anything like that. Yeah, it kind of has to come up. And like I feel like the cyclical nature of it really just adds to like the thought process and like the character of who's telling the story of the song and the story that's going through. Because you've written your own breakup songs, does this song did you relate this song to any specific moment in your life?
No, yeah, I feel like there were relationships in the past where I don't think I was in the right place or like at the right stage of my life to make things work. And when that falls apart, like a song like this is something that I definitely connected with, where there's no like there's no like bad blood. It's just like you weren't where you needed to be, and you need to like grow before you come back and make it work with someone down the road. So yeah, like I feel like this is a song like I've definitely connected it with at different points in my life. For sure.
It's come up a few times. Yeah. This might be a little personal, but have you had relationships that have like grown apart and then come back together, or?
No, not really. Like I feel like when things have ended in the past, it kind of we both went separate ways and continued to grow from there, I guess, and each person, we've gone on our own separate journey. And now I'm where I'm at now with my partner that I've been with for the last 4 years, and we're engaged now. And
congrats.
yeah, so like it's all just part of the journey that kind of leads you to where you end up and like becoming the person that you are and someone that you know can be in a loving relationship and be ready for it is all like part of that journey, I guess. Yeah. But no, I don't think there's been a relationship where we've come back together in the end. It's always like this final,
Definitely.
there's always this finality to it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like the acceptance of like the universe has brought us together for like just this amount of time, and just understanding that like to go off and grow is something good. Like
yeah. Fresh beginnings
for sure. And like not allowing a relationship to like overstay its welcome, though that sounds really harsh. That's not really how I mean it, but you know, like having to like that degree of like letting go of it in a good way.
No, I get that. Yeah,
this is a great pick for a love song. There's so many lyrics, and like I said, like the cyclicalness, and how there isn't really like a distinct chorus in like a traditional sense of the lyrics anyways, but it always repeats the phrase. Let me just bring it up here. It always repeats the phrase "I'm working hard on," and then going through it, and creates such like a visual thing with like your hands and being very like tactile and hard work. Which is I feel like it really creates this kind of like rough feeling to it, which adds a lot to the song.
And I feel like that's where it's sort of like it's not fully doom and gloom as well. Like there's like effort, and he's trying to grow, and he's trying to get like become a better person, and you know, it seems like it's not going to be in this relationship, but there's an effort that he's putting into this, I guess.
I feel like we're going through sort of phases here of some relationships where our first song, very lighthearted, like I said, very honeymoon phase. Here we are in the breakup song. And then the last song is actually like one of my favorites that I'm really hyped to talk about because I love Adrianne Lenker so much. And again, like I feel like it has that kind of like airy, sort of ethereal Jaguar Sun-esque vibe to it. But definitely I feel, talking about Adrianne Lenker a little bit more, like one of the greatest songwriters I think we have for our generation right now.
I would agree. 100%. Yeah.
Before I jump into this last song, do you have anything else you want to say about this one, or?
No, I think that covers it. Like, yeah, I just definitely wanted to like try and hit the other side of love songs, which is like the less loving side, I guess, but like the more like, you know, real and harsh side that people have to go through as well.
Going from like this like kind of heartbreak or like acknowledging yourself in a relationship to kind of a song that to me feels like a very like secure reflection of love, as I feel like a lot of Adrianne Lenker songs feel like that. They feel very secure in themselves and very, this is like kind of like, this is what the relationship is. The way she writes this, I feel like it's very like definitive almost.
It's a really good way to put it.
I feel like there isn't a lot of like umming and ahhing in her songs, even though there is, but it doesn't feel like there is in her voice.
It's almost sort of like the final phase, I guess, of what we were just talking about, where like honeymoon phase song, Strawberry Swing, the heartbreak that you go through, but the growth that you get from that with Backwards Walk, and then the secure place that you end up in after you've lived all those experiences. It's kind of like a full cycle. It's a beautiful story that we're writing today in this playlist.
Okay, we'll jump into the last song then. This is the last song we're listening to is Anything by Adrianne Lenker. There's so much I could say about this song. I love it so much. I'll let you start.
I mean, I feel like it just highlights such a power in the simple things. I love that about the songwriting, like just like the clothespin, like hanging your jeans, like just laundry in the wind, Christmas Eve with your mother and sis. Like it just paints like all these like super vivid pictures of these really like simple but like beautiful moments that you can sometimes like take for granted in a relationship, I feel. But then Adrianne like shows this real power behind all of those things in just like such a minimal and beautiful way. But then like amongst all those really simple core pictures that you can get in your head from this song, like there is still that like higher poetic element, like the stars in heaven, like weren't we the salt in the sea? Like it's the same thing that I feel like Coldplay does sometimes, where they get a bit poetic but then bring it back down into like driving with you in the car, and like something very straightforward that you can connect with in a really meaningful way. It's just like such a beautiful love song in every possible way you could think.
I totally agree. Yeah. So many things that stand out to me is like I don't think the song would be the same without the repeat of the word kiss. It just brings like such an emphasis to like this degree of like physical affection that definitely like this is like these are the moments that I treasure in like a relationship or in like a romantic context, where it's like these like very soft, like completely secure, like physical affectionately moments. Like those are like the beautiful moments of a relationship for sure, like the highest part. Yeah. And like sleeping in your car while you're driving, you know that that's like so specific to her, but it's also like so many people can relate to that. That's like such a universal experience for a lot of people.
Yeah, totally. It is like it's kind of cool how this song is more specific to her in so many ways, but in a way that like still opens the door to you attaching it to your own experiences as well. You mentioned like we can all relate with like being in the car with someone else, or like, you know, like Christmas Eve with your mother and sis. Like it's not my mom and sis, but I can easily attach that to like every Christmas Eve I've had. You know, like there's a real art in like being so pointed, but then allowing others in to your life in a way that they can connect with as well.
And I think that's like the key to her songwriting. I think about the song Fool a lot. That's probably one of my favorite Adrianne Lenker songs. Where she goes on to list all these very specific people and the specific things that they're doing. And I'm like, why is this my friend group? Even though nothing is like specifically relevant. I'm like, these are exactly the people I love and the people I care about being described right now.
Yeah.
In such a fluttery, lighthearted, very joyful way. Really, really, really incredible. I don't know. I like to say that she's like the Joni Mitchell of our generation. Like it's like the closest that
I like, could easily get behind that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the song has such like, I feel like anything has such a lighthearted quality as well, where it's like very, very simple and very stripped back, but she does like it really is, it's still so powerful in everything that it does.
It's that really just like it sums it up so perfectly, like where there isn't even like that much dissecting to do, because it can be so simple, just like you just feel it. You know it's a good love song. Like there are parts that feel deep and parts that aren't deep, and it's just like it is what it is, and that's amazing. Like
just so pure. Yeah, I wanted to give extra time for this song, but you're right, like it really is one that really speaks for itself as to why it's like up there. It's like one of the greats. Is there like moments where this song has like stood out for you in your life, or
I think just more so in general, and maybe like to what we were saying before, like where this sort of feels like the final destination in like your journey to find love, like just feeling security in your relationship and like appreciating the small things and remembering to appreciate the small things. And maybe that's sort of like where I've like found myself now, where I'm engaged in like in a long-term relationship and loving relationship. It's just maybe I can connect with this song now more than ever, I guess. I feel like when I was like, I knew I wanted to like include one of her songs, and I feel like this was just a really easy one to pick, and such like an instant thought.
Definitely. Yeah, kind of like the rawness to the recording also adds like a lot to it. Like I said, very simple, very stripped back, like this whole album is. But really like such artistry involved in it.
Yeah. I feel like I love looking at that like from a musical perspective as well, because like I know like a lot of maybe the staples of my music is like there's a lot of layers and like a lot of elements going on, but I love like trying to hold to something like this where, you know, maybe sometimes I can dip into the more like raw side of recording, the simple side, and it's something I'm always trying to like tap into new spaces when I'm like moving forward. Not every song has to have like all these big layers and like 6 vocal layers all singing the same thing. Like sometimes you can just play the guitar and make like a really beautiful song. So yeah, and it's also cool that like she can record a song like this. It's so simple, like instrumentally and vocally, but it's completely her. Like no one else would make that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, just like so many inspiring elements to that song and
Definitely.
their music in general.
Yeah, I feel, yeah, definitely what you're saying about how it's so Adrianne Lenker. I feel like all of her music feels like that, like in her voice and in her lyrics, like in the stories she tells. And going back to like Fool a little bit, which I mentioned earlier, like the names being dropped are like, you know, that they're specific relationships.
Yeah.
And you know, all of these songs are dedicated to someone specific with specific moments in mind, which really just makes it so personal and so special. I do feel that coming out in your music too. Like I feel like your music feels very like community driven in a sense too, very, very tight knit. Yeah, beautiful inspiration, beautiful song choice.
Yeah, it's nice kind of like taking a step back and looking into these songs too, because I feel like when I listened to them before, like it's just in the moment and I'm feeling the thing, but I never really like take a step back to like think about why I like it so much. It's kind of like a cool exercise to sort of listen to these and really dissect why I'm feeling what I'm feeling when I'm listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Understand like their role in your life a little bit more and in your creative practice. Yeah. I hope you've had a good time on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here and doing this, especially right before leaving for tour.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad it was fun. I'm glad it was introspective. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
As I said, you're going on tour. We mentioned your single that came out recently. Are there any other projects coming up or anything you want to promo?
I guess nothing announced yet, but definitely keep an eye on some new releases this year. There's a couple really special and cool things that will be coming out later in the summer and this fall. And if you want to keep up, follow on Instagram, because that's definitely the best place to keep an eye on what I'm up to. But yeah, there's some cool music on the way.
Yeah, Chris's Instagram is at Jaguar Sun.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so be sure to give Chris a follow at Jaguar Sun, to keep up to date with those and any shows coming up, anything like that. Be sure to drop a follow on our Instagram at This Must Be the Place Pod. I've been your host, Imogen J. Lister, talking with Jaguar Sun, aka Chris. I would love to hear what guests you guys want to hear on. Be sure to drop a comment, leave a review, subscribe if you so desire. Follow us, like I said, follow us on Instagram and subscribe to the newsletter. That's the best way to get the playlist and the episodes all in one place in your messaging inbox all at one time. I would love to hear from you guys soon, and lots of love. We'll chat soon. Bye.